What's going on, everybody? Yes, I'm still in my nerdy garb because I'm going to talk about Manicotti 2. Oh, this one, it was like night and day. They took every single complaint from the first Manicotti and they listened, and oh my god, did they add content. We wanted to keep the same characters. We kept the continuity of being the Miskatonic University. I think we changed up our costumes a little bit. We threw different armor on. I had a scarf on. That was my big change for the game. But oh my god, the content difference in this game was it's indescribable. Like, they took every single complaint and they listened to it. I mean, you could do so freaking much in this game. I mean, in the first Manicotti, we had so much downtime of just sitting at trees and just talking. We sat down maybe once. We got into the middle of the woods while on a search quest, and they're like, okay, we've been at solid go since we got here. Let's take a break. Let me start at the beginning. We showed up and we learned right away that there is, like, we're in some secluded forest in the middle of God knows what country, and they're like, okay, this area is a freaking hotspot for archaeological relics and buried treasure, but it's also a hugely populated area by very, very angry natives, and they're probably going to try and kill you. There's also a guerrilla faction that's trying to kill you because they want the treasure. There is also possibly some sort of cursed idol which we need to return to its sacred ground to avoid these constant attacks by these natives who are trying to kill us because we had it and we lost it. So, I think what happened was the guerrillas took this sacred idol, which actually looked really cool. It was about that big, and it was just like a big block of styrofoam, and they just carved out like a giant version of the golden idol from Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark. If you can imagine that. It was just a really big version of that, and it was spray painted gold. It looked amazing. They put time into their props now. It went from tennis balls, which were grenades, to carved idols and jewels and coins, and oh my god, this game. I think it was cheaper. Yeah, it was cheaper than $50. So they reduced the price and they gave you more content. So Manicotti 2 at this point is easily top 5 favorite games. No question about that. Oh my god. Yes, I'm saying that a lot. Anyways, we showed up and we learned that there was treasure hidden all over the place. So we got to searching. And we paid for some hints. You know, we earned some petty cash going in. You actually had to make up passports. They actually gave you like a template for a passport, and you had to like take your picture and put it on there with all of your information. Again, just adding to the realism. So when you went in, you actually had to show your passport. I really wish I could find mine. Oh my god, that thing would be amazing to have. You had to show your passport, and they checked it, and they like looked at your picture, looked at you, looked at your picture, looked at you, and they gave you some cash to start out with, so you could buy some weapons or you could buy some hints. So we learned where some treasure was, and we got to searching, and yeah, there were bags of coins, partially buried, some like on trees, and then we found like golden relics of skulls and stuff, like on shrines and stuff. Like, it was so much fun to look for that stuff, and we're out there, you know, guns up. We kind of got it in our heads that there's two groups of enemies out there who hate each other but hate us more. So we're constantly on alert. We're finding treasure. We're bringing it back, and like that's such a small portion of it. Finding treasure was such a small portion of the gameplay. This time it actually wasn't necessarily as much focused on your team, like has a set slot of when you do something. It was just like all the teams showed up at one time and they all interacted together. Let's see, what else was there? You could run and do training scenarios, again, with one of the rebel factions that was there, who was one of the good guys who was helping out the archaeology department working there. You could run and do a training scenario with them, but it actually involved more than just throwing grenades. It actually involved doing maneuvers up into the forest and just doing some shooting drills. Then you get attacked and you pull back, you return fire. It was it was something. It felt really, really good to take part in. And something else you could do. This actually turned out to be the highlight of the day for me. What you could do to earn some money was, you could join the local military, and it was a very, very shady military operation. But you went through and you did this whole interview process with this really grizzled looking military veteran, and he had this whole form for you to fill out, and he asked you all these questions, and then he stamped it, and he was like, all right, you're in the blah blah military. All right, come with us. We'll get you a weapon. We'll get you trained. And that was a second training scenario you could do, which I think was a lot more. It felt very militaristic. Like, you got online, he shouted at you, some very fake sounding stuff, but just fun to be around. Then you did some drills and you came back. There were also a lot of attacks on the village this time. Like, the guerrillas would openly just invade the camp and come after you, and you had to fight them off. Sometimes they got really close where it actually felt like they'd storm the camp, but then the actors would step in and help you out and shoot back, and then that would drive them off if it got to that point. I think it only got to that point once. But other than that, we actually had player characters just kind of wandering around enough so that they could keep them from getting too far into the main camp. But anyways, I got kind of off track. So, the primary military recruiter for this rebel military or whatever, he kept coming up to everyone saying, like, hey, you should join the military. You know, you got what it takes. I've seen you fight. You should do it. You should join. And pretty much everyone did it, but I just kind of got it in my head where I didn't want to do it. I really, really wanted to see how far he'd go. And so I was like, no, thank you. I'm not interested. You know, I'm not a fighter. And he's like, but you carry a gun. And I go, yes, to defend myself against whatever I might find on my many adventures. And he goes, okay, I see that. And he was like, you sure you don't want to join? I think you do. I was like, no, I'm alright. I like being my own person. I like adventuring. He's like, okay. Don't think this is over. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, just saying, don't think this is over. Okay. And he comes back and he goes, you should join. You really, I'm being nice. You should join the military. And I'm like, no. This isn't my country. I don't want to fight for you. I don't want to go where you tell me to go. And he's like, okay. Just so I know where you stand. You have a good day. I was like, you too. Like, I'm still in character. And I know he's still having fun, and he's in character too, but I'm just like something's going on. Like, why else would he have come up to me and gone, you should join? Like, and he was dead serious, and I was just like, oh my god. This is something different. This is something completely unique. Then he comes back one more time with the form with my fucking name on it, signed, and he goes, okay. So I have your signature here. I was really glad to get that from you. So now you can come with us and welcome aboard. And I was like, no, this isn't my signature. I didn't sign this. This is not legal. And he goes, by our government standards, it is. You signed this form, so yeah, you belong to me now. And I was like, I was completely fucking stunned at just like how this had developed into this whole like organic storyline that entirely centered on me, because I was the only person who hadn't joined the military at that point. So he actually pulled a freaking gun on me, and he was like, or he wasn't pointing at my face, he was pointing at like my knee or something like that, and I was wearing a full-on knee pad, which was this freaking stuff. It was the other catcher knee guard. So I had one that was ripped in half and was on my arm, the other was on my leg. So he was pointing it at that, so safety first. Then he was like, you're coming with me or I'm going to blow your kneecap off. And I was like, you can try. And then I took off. I just took off at a dead run out of the camp, and he was like, stop him! Shoot him! And everyone's just like, what? What the hell's going on? He's like, he tried to kill me! He tried to frame the military! He's just shouting all this shit, and so some people shoot at me, and I run off, and then I come back, and he just gave me this look like, had to try. I like your style. I'll let you go. Just the fact that I had, like, If they'd shot me, like, because they were actually shooting at me, if they'd shot me, it would have counted as a death, and I would have accepted that because that was legitimate. But yeah, I managed to get away. I don't know how, but I did, and I regrouped with some of my team, and they're like, okay, well, we'll bring you back in. You know, if they try and do anything like that, we'll stick up for you. So everything turned out okay in the end. Then we actually something took place which involved actually everyone pulling guns on the archaeologist. Like, I think they were going to do something where they were going to grab the idol and just book it, and we had to stop them. So we pulled all of our guns. We're like, oh, no, we're returning this idol. We're making them happy, and you're not going anywhere. So it was just more like, it was more immersion into the scenario, and it felt so fucking good. Finally, end of the day came, and they're like, okay, we're making one final push. We are taking the idol back to its resting place. So we fought off the guerrillas, pushed them back. The natives started attacking us, and it turns into just every single actor, member of the military who are also actors, like the rebel military, like they're actors. Like, so we had basically them running with us. Every single player character was running just all in one formation with the archaeologist holding the idol, trying to bring it back to its resting place. And we finally got back there. We did one last final stand with every single opposing force member attacking us. We pushed them off. We held the idol for 5 minutes, which I think was what you had to do, and we succeeded. And that was the end of the game. And yeah, top 5 best games I've been to, just for the immersion, the interactions, the socialization, the fact that we never had downtime, except for the time when we forced ourselves to have downtime. We're like in the forest looking for, I think we're looking for like a bag of jewels, and we're like, okay, it's break time, guys. We need to sit down for a minute. As opposed to, well, we got nothing to do, might as well sit down and talk. So, it's the same, it's just me trying to talk about the same game universe, like put on by the exact same people, but it's the perfect example of doing something fun the first time, but not quite to its full extent, and then listening to every single complaint and putting out one of the best games in like the Northwest Airsoft history, in my opinion, that I've been to. Oh, and at this point we are very eagerly awaiting Manicotti Incident 3. I will drop everything to go to that because I'm a colossal nerd and I really would love the opportunity to bust this costume out again at an Airsoft game. Some of it did make an appearance at a later game, which I'll be talking about later on, and that is actually the game series which Drat became famous for, and that was our hosting of the Fallout series. I'm not entirely sure if I want to talk about that all on my own, because that's actually the brainchild of the other team representative, because he's a Fallout fan like crazy, and so he got it in his head that you could do Fallout Airsoft, and you can. So we've hosted 2 so far. So much to talk about, so much fun. I'll say this, I was the Super Mutant Overlord, so, yeah, and fun stories, but that is a story for another time. Thank you all for watching, I hope you have a great night, and happy airsofting.